Hello and welcome to the Letter to My Children podcast, where I interview people who have gone through adversity, found confidence, found progress, and also just use their journey as a vehicle to progress. Today, I've got one of the girls who's working on my identity unlock. She was actually the first person that signed up to it, and she was bugging me to sign up to it because she was like, well, I want to make progress. And for me, that was an amazing feeling of actually having someone just like drastically needing something from me. So I would like to introduce Danni to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So give everyone a little bit of context, a little bit of a brief story about how you got into where you are today.
I'll try and keep it short because I can talk for Scotland. So I have always been an active person. Like as a child, I never sat still. I did dancing, I did karate, I did gymnastics. Mum and dad were like, what else can we get her to do? And eventually I went to dance at college after school. And discovered I had a lot of insecurities and lacked a lot of self-confidence. And because of that, I didn't pursue a career in dance because I just obviously didn't have that, and you need that to be able to do that. So then I discovered my love for the gym, and that's when I started to just realize that that is something I could pursue, and that's where my passion lay. So I started working on the gym floor. I just felt like I started to learn more about myself. That's where I kind of started to come out my shell a lot more and felt more at home, if you like. And at the time, I was coming out of a not a great relationship. So I was just really starting to find myself a bit more, becoming a bit more independent. Um, and then I kind of hit that sticking point again where I felt a little bit stuck. I felt like I wasn't challenged anymore. And I wanted to push things further, but again, I didn't know what that was. So I felt a bit lost, kind of found myself, and I was feeling a bit lost and stuck again. And then I decided to finish my level 3 because I hadn't quite finished it then, finished my level 3 to do PT, started doing personal training, fell in love with that and realized that helping people was the thing I needed to do because it was just giving me so much fulfillment, so much joy. But then again, I hit that sticking point. It's like I kept reaching this sticking point and I was like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, I'm not quite where I need to be. Like, I'm not feeling as fulfilled as I know I can. Like, I always knew, I always knew at school that I was meant for something different and bigger. Like, I remember at school not feeling like it was for me. And when I was on the gym floor, severely overworked doing PT, as much as I was enjoying helping other people, I knew that I could be helping people better in a different way and having more of a bigger impact without having to work like 14, 16-hour days and being absolutely exhausted and having naps in the toilet. Um, so that's when I started to look into going online. And it took a hell of a lot of time and a lot of hard work. And here we are.
Empower Excel.
Yep.
Where did that come from?
Good question. So I obviously started off on my own, and it was DC Dynamic Coaching. It took me a long time to kind of sit and figure out the words and the meaning behind what I wanted to create. Like I played around with a lot of words and things. I remember asking clients like, what do you feel embodies like our team? Like, what does it mean to you? And the word that kept popping up was empower. I was like, great, because I like that word. And for me, I always want to inspire people. I always want to have an impact. Like that's my number one goal in life is to impact and inspire.
Why is that?
Um, so I think, honestly, I think when I was at school, not feeling like I wanted to do a job that everyone else wanted to do, I felt like I had to almost prove to myself that I was worth something.
Do you know where that come from?
Mm, no, I had no idea because nobody made me feel that way. Like it was just me in my own head. I just felt like I think because I was leaving to do dancing, I always said to everyone I was doing dancing, it was kind of, to me, it didn't seem like a real job or like a, an impactful thing. So when I discovered that I wanted to help people, I thought, right, okay, I need to I need to prove to myself this is worth
I
something.
remember us having a conversation in Edinburgh, and you were talking about you've got older brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
The older brother and sister?
Yeah, older
Yeah.
brother and older sister, yeah.
And you seem to make sense of the fact that it was like you were the youngest one. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't all about being heard, being seen. Do you reckon that's where it comes from?
Maybe. Yeah, like I always wanted a younger brother or sister. I kept asking mum and dad and they were like, absolutely not. We've had you now, that's enough. Like you're a handful. um but I wanted, yeah, I think it probably does come from that a little bit. Like my brother and sister got on so well because they were like quite a closer age. I'm only a few years younger, but they were always really close, and I never really had that close relationship with them at the time because I was always the baby. And even now, like they both stay in London. They're really close, and although I'm close with them and get on with them, they have like a closer relationship than I do with them. So that's probably a part of it.
Mm.
I reckon, yeah.
It's
Maybe.
interesting because obviously, like, I've got a younger brother and a younger sister, and like I've pushed through loads and loads of barriers, and then I've noticed what my brother's tried to do in what, like he's in the company that I used to work for, and he, like, the second I left, he was in a place where he was saying about he wanted to do the same things and have the same things, and then he was trying to rush at things, and I was like, dude, like, take your time with it. Whereas I can see from your side of things, it's like, no, that's what drives me, that's what pushes me forward. Like, I want to get that.
Mhm.
I need to achieve that for me. That's my thing to go and do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how you don't necessarily realize those things until a lot later on.
Yeah.
I know because I'm the oldest out of all of the children in our family, so I know that like I was the one that had to go and do something.
Yeah.
Whereas, the whole rest of them are looking up towards me, and it was like that I had to flip that pressure. Instead of it being like, no, I need to be heard, it's like, no, I need to be the one that does something.
Almost like the role model, the one that's
Yeah, I
like
had to
leading.
force myself to then just go, right, I need to do something.
Mhm.
And my mum was also the oldest one of her brothers and sisters, and so like I think she's always tried to do the same thing as well. I just know for me that they lacked the, I suppose, extroverted confidence, and I think that was where I was like, well, what's the missing bit here? And I remember when we were talking, you were like, actually, this makes more sense now that I can actually utilize that as my strength. Is like, I want to be heard because I want to prove that I have got something to offer.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how that, like I suppose they're polar opposites, but at the same time, like you've got something that's like pulling, like pushing you towards it, but you've also got something to get away from. Whereas I was like, I better not under deliver,
Yeah.
because otherwise, like, it's not going to look as good.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the oldest one, but I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And yet if they are struggling, so it's like utilizing that push and pull, isn't it? It's like you've got something that's like striving you forward, but you've also, and I know we'll go on to talking about this later, like you've got things that are pushing you away from bad times.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got things that are pulling you towards that, like I'm running at walls here because I'm going to go further than I've ever been before.
Yeah.
So you found out that you wanted to have impact. You found that you were in the gym, wanted to change people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You went online, Empower Excel came about. And then I know it was about a year ago. It was just nearly a year ago. That was when we had our first shoot. Mm-hmm. I know obviously a lot's changed since then.
Yeah. A lot.
Explain from a personal level, not just from a business perspective. Like, yes, okay, your business has grown. You're impacting more lives doing what you wanted to do. What were you getting away from that now makes you so happy to just be you?
So I never had the independence that I do now, because I never had the confidence to be independent. Like I was always like a sheep, right? Like I always like followed the crowd. Like when I was younger, and even like a year ago, I would just very much like, I would be too afraid to like speak up or ask questions, and I would just very much go with the flow. And like, I was like queen of people pleasing. I hated upsetting people, but even if it didn't make me happy, I would just do it because I didn't want to make anyone else, like, I didn't want to say no. would always be like, yeah, okay, I'll do
It's
this.
amazing how easy it is, because I've done the same thing as well, where you're trying to keep people, because you think then you're doing the right thing.
Mm.
It's amazing how then you suddenly get these moments in life where you suddenly go, well, why am I constantly feeling like just below par?
Mm.
Yet everyone else is like swinging from the trees, like buzzing.
Yeah, totally. So that was me. I was just like constantly aiming to people please, thinking I was doing the right thing, but I was like, I feel a bit shit. Like, why is this not making me feel good? Like I'm, doing a good thing. But yeah, I was just I couldn't I just wasn't happy, but I thought I was, but I wasn't. And I didn't have the confidence in myself to be able to travel. I didn't have the confidence in myself to just try new things. And I realize now how much I was missing out on. And like I always say to you, like I wish, I could go back and be where I am now, like 5 years ago. Um, but I think just, yeah, lacking that confidence, that self belief, and just trying to please people all the time and never thinking about what I wanted, it was just holding me back a hell of a lot. Like I had to be with people all of the time. I could not be on my own. Like if I didn't have plans at the weekend, that would freak me out. Like I remember like if I had no plans at the weekend, I would be like panicking. I'd be like, I need to see people. Like I can't, like if I could see my family, I would just go and see them, even if it was just my mum. I couldn't just be like me, sitting watching TV. Like it was really shit.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's so different now because I love my own company. So yeah, it's changed a hell of a lot. Um, but yeah, from just the past year since meeting you, like I think when we met, I I felt like I was happy. Like obviously I just got married. Like I was happy, but I wasn't fully fulfilled. And I also didn't really know myself on a deeper level. And I think knowing that now has helped me open doors to new opportunities and step outside my comfort zone. And obviously now I'm traveling, like, which is something I wanted to do for so long after college. But because I was so stuck in this relationship and I couldn't step away from him at the time, I was like, I can't do it. So yeah, it's like night and day.
It's
Massively.
hard also when you know what you've been through, and the I guess when you start a lot of these things, anyone that's listening to this that might have been in a place where it's not even about the money, like obviously these things have cost to it, but it's like now, okay, your confidence has grown, you've been incredibly, and you work fucking hard. So I'm not going to say you've just been fortunate to grow a big business, like you've worked hard for it. You can now justify doing some of these things and making the most of it before, whatever other stages of your life come about. But it's really difficult when you know how good it feels to just be you
Mm.
and overcome the things that other people are struggling with, yet they don't see that they're struggling with it until almost like we did, too late.
Mm.
And then you're like, this is frustrating. Like I just want to, like, you almost want to shake people, not in a violent way, but
Yeah.
hang on, you don't realize how good this can be.
Yeah. No, totally. I agree. I think it's frustrating because people can't see that they're they're not like they can be much happier. And I'm like, oh, wait, if I could just show you like like a film of me back then, which is probably similar to where that person is now to where I am now, like there's so much that you're missing out on. But I think people kind of need to realize that in their own time, don't they? Like, and some people might not realize it. Some people like do just settle and think that that's how life should be, and it's a shame. It is a shame.
The other side of that, or to extend on that as well, is yeah, it's frustrating because obviously we know how good it feels to be the other side of it, and now we're in a place. I think what a lot of people think is that they have to be someone different, as if almost like they're wrong or they're not right or they're not good enough. It's more of a realigning of like that person's inside of you, desperate to just breathe,
Mm-hmm.
desperate to just have a space to just be themselves. And if you give them the permission and the space to be themselves, all these amazing things happen. You get to meet new people, you get to change lives, you get to have a bigger business, you get to make more connections, meet people, settle down. Like, there's so many opportunities come from being in that place. And people just get so like, oh, you're saying I'm not good enough, or it's like a very defensive, protective place.
Mhm.
And you're like, no, you don't quite realize it's like there's a person literally looking at you or I that's like talking to us, that we're like, that person's screaming at us right now saying help, and you're not letting them speak.
Yeah.
And if you just let them speak a little bit and go and be themselves, you will sit there and go, thank God I stepped out my own way. Thank God I actually gave myself the space to just go and experience and know this.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that and you go, wow, that was, and we've both been through it. And then you see other people like going through those moments, and you're just like, it's almost like I imagine like people done drugs and had that first hit of it. It's like,
Yeah.
you know how that feeling feels. You just suddenly go, that's the answer.
Yeah.
That's what I was missing. And then you have that amazing moment after. It's like, yeah, I can run through walls. I'm not looking at hurdles anymore. There's opportunities. And like, even for you now, it's like, you're messaging me saying, challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need something bigger. It's like nothing scares you anymore. It has to be so big that it then scares you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before it had been like, no, baby steps. Like, this has to be.
Oh my God, if you threw any challenges at me before, I would have told you to do one.
Well, look how long Dubai took.
I know. It took so long.
I can't remember when the shoot was, but I think it was like a good 3 or 4 weeks of
Yeah.
like, have you booked it yet? Have you done it yet?
I kept going on to like look at flights, and I was like, no, I can't do it. Literally it took me about 4 weeks. I'm not joking.
And I was like, you do know I'm flying on these flights. You want to just sit on the plane somewhere on it. And that was brilliant. I have to tell this because Danni took the same flight out to Dubai that I was on to go to the event that she'd been invited to. And she had a seat right at the back of the plane.
Oh no.
Freezing cold.
By the fridges or whatever.
It was like literally right at the back. You were in your own little row by yourself. I got up halfway through the flight to go to the toilet, and I saw her sitting at the back like shivering. I brought her a blanket, and then she actually kept that blanket and gave it back to me, even though I'd just been given it on the flight. And I was like,
I thought it was yours. I was like, oh, better bring it off. And then you were like, why did you take that off? I was like, oh.
And we just got to Dubai. It's roasting hot. Yeah, it's a complete opposite. And you're sitting there like shivering. And I was like, I'll do the nice thing. There's a blanket here. Just take that.
I want to do it.
But now you're on the flip side of that, like you're traveling more. Obviously, I know you joined me on the identity unlock, and then like we've really pushed through like some hurdles. On a personal level, what's the things that like, obviously more confidence and stuff? I know you mentioned before, like having someone just believe in you, like was massive. What's the difference, like 2 or 3 differences, like real strong differences between, let's say, like the Manchester shoot when we were talking about Dubai to like now?
In me?
Huh.
I think when we were in Manchester, you could see potential in me, and I didn't see that. Like, I remember you saying, like, you've got so much to give. And I knew that, but I couldn't see a way in how to do that. Like, I couldn't quite move forward. I kind of almost got to that stuck place again. And I didn't know how, I didn't have the belief in myself. It was only me that was holding myself back. And again, I thought I had the confidence, like I felt more confident, but actually it wasn't. Like, if we look at my shoot then to now, I mean, it's like night and day. And like I was saying to you, like, I'm really lucky to have like a supportive family and friends, but I think having someone like yourself and the community of the Identity Unlock behind me, it's almost like you feel understood and like people get you. And it's not that my friends and family don't. Like, they've always supported me. They think, I'm really inspiring and what I'm doing is great. But you almost need people to understand your mindset and have the same high achieving mindset as you and the same kind of drive moving forward, so they can see what you're capable of and they can see your vision. So having you believing in me, saying like, you can do this, like you're capable of big things, that really resonated with me a lot, and it like pushed me. And now I've got that. Like now I want to be challenged all the time. Like any challenge that you throw at me, any challenge that comes my way, I'm like, bring it on. And it's, yeah, my mindset is like completely changed. And I'm grateful for it, because if it hadn't, I probably would have just sat stagnant and settled and not pushed the boundaries and seen what I've been capable of. And it's been quite incredible.
Why are you trying to do so much now?
Oh, that's a deep question. Um, it's it's what I'm meant to do. It's what I want to do. It's it just means so much to me. It's like I feel like I feel like back in the day when I'd completely lost myself, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what the hell was the point of me being on this earth, to be honest, going deep. But I didn't want to be here anymore. And I felt like, even though I had incredible people around me, I was like, I'm not doing anything of value here. Like, I was working in a job that I hated. I wasn't feeling good in myself. I was just like, what's the point? Like, I need this feeling to go away. Um, Whereas now that I've got that, when I've found my purpose, now that I've found my passion, I'll never ever stop. I'll never stop chasing it. I'll never stop working. I'll never stop chasing the impact, because it gives me so much fulfillment, and it's given me my life, essentially, which I probably wouldn't have been here had I not discovered that.
She's like that. She's coming here all vulnerable today. It's amazing the difference of the character that's come out of you. And you listen to you on Instagram and see the podcast is very different. What is the vulnerable feeling still a bit of a? I still don't believe it's me.
Yeah.
What is this vulnerable feeling? Because your body language is very vulnerable right now.
I don't know. Like, I don't mind. Like, I don't know. I don't mind being open and honest about. Like, I'm such an open book, as you know. Like, I literally, everyone knows how I feel all the time. I can't hide that. I wear my heart on my sleeve. But
You're not Scottish by any chance.
I don't know. I do find it hard to think back and look back to that person that I was, because I don't recognise her. And if she walked in this room right now, you wouldn't either. And I don't think either of us would be friends, because I was a totally different person. Like, I was like a lost puppy. Like, I just
gone from a sheep to a puppy.
Yeah, from a sheep to a
changing
puppy.
animals as we go.
And yeah, I was just in such a bad place in my head, and I find it hard to just look back at that person, and because I remember what it felt like. And this is why I've got a thing about control now, because I don't ever want to get back to that place, and I won't. But this is why I've become such a control freak, because at that time I didn't have control, and my thoughts were out of control. I wanted to be off this planet. I didn't want to be here. And yeah, I think, just looking back, it's difficult. Like, it's just not easy to remember how it felt. It's the feeling. Like, I still feel it, if you know what I mean.
But that's become your superpower.
Yeah. Stop trying to make me cry.
But it's the honest truth, isn't it? You know how shit. I can see how I can see how much it did impact you, and I think this is also why, like, I've seen in you that's like, I want to keep pushing, because I just know that energy is like, that's probably why you danced. It silenced the noise. Even though you were listening to music, it was like, when I played football, I didn't think of anything else. It was just
Yeah.
Football.
So literally one of the only things that ever helped me zone away from my thoughts was dancing. And then I think that's almost what made the voices louder in my head and made me so depressed and have those negative thoughts, because I stopped dancing, because I ended up working in a job that I hated. I didn't have the confidence in myself to pursue that as a career. I didn't like the whole, atmosphere of auditioning, and if you're doing auditions and dancing something you want to pursue, if you're not confident in your body, you're not gonna get a job, because you have to be able to feel confident to wear the costumes they want you to, or you can't say no, I'm not wearing that. They'll tell you to bugger off. And yeah, I didn't have that. So yeah, I've forgotten what the question was now.
But I've thrown to your own
I just
dancing
totally
world.
lost my train of thought there.
We had a Portugal trip
Yes, we did.
last month.
Yeah.
There was a big moment in that where you had to go back and see your old self.
Mm-hmm.
Out of interest, what did you say to her?
Oh, Ben. I can't remember word for word, but I think I just told her to not give up, because I had gave up, and I was looking for every single way to make how I felt stop. I wasn't even thinking about anyone else around me and how much it would impact me. And this might be hard to talk about. So I went for a coffee with my mum like 3 weeks. No, it was after the Portugal event, when it was. And I was talking to her about the programme and how great Portugal was and how much I'm benefiting from it and how I'm a different person now in comparison to when I was having suicidal thoughts, and she had no idea. And she started crying. And it just made me realise, like, how horrible it would have been for her and for people around me if I were to go. Fucking hell, you did it. You made me cry. I just never considered it, like, at the time. Because all I wanted to do was make the thoughts go away and the feeling to go away. But seeing her, like, break down, just, it hit me hard. So I'm so glad that I didn't give up. And that was the thing I said to her when we were at the Portugal event. I said to that person, like, don't stop, because on the other side of this is someone that you've wanted to become and you're dreaming of, and you think it's not possible, but it is. So yeah, that was the main thing. Just don't give up and believe in yourself and just keep fighting, because you're going to do big things and you're going to use this one day as your superpower to help other people who are struggling with a similar feeling and discover themselves and just feel the best version of themselves like you do now. So yeah, that was really hard to talk about.
It's amazing. It really is. Does it feel crazy now that there's people in the group that look at you as a role model?
Yeah. It's almost like I have to pinch myself sometimes. Because I'm just a normal person. Like, I'm just doing what I love. I'm just, following my passion, my purpose. But to actually know that I'm inspiring other people means the absolute world. Like, it's something that I've always wanted. And like I said, like, becoming that person was something I never thought was possible. So to hear from you and from others that they look up to me, I'm like, wow, like that just, I can't put it into words. It's, yeah, it's amazing.
How has all of this like now impacted Empower Excel?
Oh, massively. I think the change in me and everything that I've overcome and how I'm constantly challenging myself is inspiring my clients. And it's showing them that if I can do it, why can't they? So they're constantly pushing the boundaries now, like all the time. This is the most they've ever been thriving. And it's incredible. Like I know they see me as a role model and they see me as inspiring, and that's amazing, but I see them as inspiring. And I say that to them all the time when I get messages from them saying, I've done this today, I've overcome this. I had a message this morning saying how one of my clients was really struggling with her mental health last week. And this week she pulled herself out of it. She's totally come out the other side. And it was this big, long message. And I was like, that is inspiring. Like, that is a hard thing to do. So,
And it also shows to the rest of the group that if they're struggling, they're capable of it.
yeah. And like, they're all like, our team are really close and they all share their wins and also their struggles. It gives them the reassurance that, it's normal to struggle, which for me, when I was struggling, I didn't really, because I didn't speak up about it. I didn't know that it was normal. Whereas with them, I want them to be open and honest and say, like, I've had a hard week, because they can see that it is normal and they can be supported.
How does it feel to go from a place where the only way you could express yourself was through dance to now be like the best way you express yourself is by your voice? I mean, not the Scottish accent, but the words you say.
It's a weird feeling. I can't really explain. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I never felt like I was good with words before. Like, I was just like, I'll just like dance around. Like, I'm good at that. Like, I've always been really active, but yeah, to be able to, yeah, just be inspiring and have an impact through speaking and, you know, voicing is, I never thought I could do it. Yeah. I don't know. Again, honestly, I'm still in disbelief sometimes. Like, I say to you, like, I sometimes have to pinch myself. And I think people always see me on socials and think, she's so confident. She's got it all together. She's like, and like, yeah, okay, I've got myself to a really great place, but I'm in disbelief sometimes that that person on socials is me. Like, I'm not perfect by any means.
It's also like I can appreciate the same thing of it being like people see you as a success or they see what you're doing. And because you've gone through it, you've done it, and you don't necessarily, because the negatives of those situations, you don't really look and go, wow, look at what I've done with all of this stuff. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, we put it into some of the sales speech because obviously we know that's what actually helps people.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't often really sit there and think, wow, like this negative stuff that I went through to get to this place where I am today is some people's dream. And yet we're sitting there going, this needs to be better. I could do more with this.
Yeah.
Like, I've not been present with this. I should do this more. And you're like, why is there always still more?
Mm-hmm.
But then you like kind of go, yeah, but look, like last week I have 5 messages of people's lives have changed. Financially, my family are safe. Like, we can afford to do stuff. We can travel. We can move, like whatever. And then you kind of go, wow.
Yeah.
Like, and also, until you are in a place where you have people around you that are open with talking about it, it's almost like a taboo thing. It's not like we run around going, oh, we're so amazing, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are all similar minded, like it isn't like, from what I've put out into the group, it's like, I don't want people to earn good money because it's like, oh, look at me, I can buy all this stuff. It's like, no, I can give myself security. I can make myself feel safe. I can be in control. I can grow more. I can actually leverage who I am. And then it's a case of utilizing what you want to utilize. If you want to grow a massive business, and go for it. If you want to have a family, you can manipulate yourself to be in a position to do that and also still run the business and have that. And also then just keep challenging yourself from when you were stuck, when you were lost, and you're thinking like, you look back and it's one of those weird things. I think if you said it to anyone else, you'd go, I would wish that I'd never had that. But almost like you're like, I'm happy I had it. I'd never want to go back to it, but I wouldn't change it now.
I think it's like your driver, isn't it? That's what drives you. Like you've got yourself out of that place and you're grateful for it. Like you wouldn't want to go through it again, but that's what's pushed you forwards. You've overcame that. It's your superpower now. You know, and that's what makes you unique. Like everyone's gone through their own stuff. That's what makes you unique. So you use that to push forwards. So like, yeah, you're almost grateful for it in a sense because you're like, well, I've come out the other side of that.
What's the big dream?
Oof, now you're asking.
We'll raise it up a little bit because we've gone a bit deep. So let's
a bit deep. I honestly, I want to impact as many women as possible from all over the world. I want to bring them all together. And we've already got an awesome community, but I want that to grow. I want people to feel like they've got almost like a second family where they're supported. They feel like they can trust one another. They can be unapologetically themselves and stop holding themselves back. I want to bring out the best in people so that they can truly start to live their life the way that they may not be right now or may not even realize that they're capable of doing. I want to step on stage and I want to do public speaking. And I just want to be known as, I don't want to be known as just another online fitness coach. I don't want that. I don't want that title. I want to be known as the woman who changed their life and the woman who is inspiring and has made a massive impact on the world. And the women's lives that I change, I want that to then positively impact their families and all the relationships that they have around them. So it has that like compounding effect. It's not just the client, it's everyone else around them as well.
I always like to visualise the fact of, obviously, I would say for Wembley Stadium, you might say Hampden if we're going Scottish here. Like you stood right in the middle of the pitch, and everyone around you is literally there because you've changed their life.
Love it.
And they're just looking at you right in the middle, almost to like applaud you, just to say thank you for being you. And like not giving up, not stopping, keep progressing, keep looking for more, keep driving, keep looking for new ways to help people and better ways to help people. Like it was only when I think I was doing a bit of content about like social media following, thinking that like for most people, most online coaches, like 30, 40 clients changes their life financially. You know, they don't need 10,000 followers, they don't need this, but all of a sudden, if you realize that for my mission, like my initial mission is to like impact 1,000 people's lives. And if that goes on to directly impact 100 people's life, family members, friends, work colleagues, and so on, that's 100,000 people. That is me standing in the middle of Wembley Stadium, everyone just effectively standing up and clapping and saying thank you. And just standing there taking it all in, going, wow, like, as like some football or rugby players must get when they win a game and they're just looking around and everyone's happy for them. I mean, other than the opposing team, but like, you get what I mean, right? What's the question you got for me?
You kind of just you kind of answered this yesterday, but I kind of want to rephrase it. Like, right. So I asked you yesterday, when will you know that you've made it and you've got that feeling of this is what I was striving for? How do I rephrase this? Okay, on the flip side, you're such a driven person, right? You love a challenge, you work a lot. How will you find it when you've got that point got to that point of, having that bigger impact, and you've got more time back.
So I did think about this after you said yesterday. I believe the feeling will be is my kids seeing me having the impact,
Hmm.
and me just, that would be an event, public speaking, doing that, and my kids then understanding that that's happened. However, I've been able to give them enough to help them do more in life by taking this big change, by doing all of that, like just knowing that they're stood there watching, and it would take the pressure off of what I wonder about what everyone else would think, and I would really be considering about like how's this gonna, what's this gonna do for them. And it's not like you have to be better than me, although as a dad that I'm the only person who's going to be grateful for them pushing further than me. I'd also quite like it for my parents as well, because I know that they lack in confidence, and to know that their son went and did it and just overcome everything and stood there, like the generations of the family standing there, and I've built something and they're looking around going, wow, he's done this. Like that's when I'll know. And I know that's still quite far away, but that's almost good, because it gives me more time to just keep grinding, keep working, keep going, just so I can then like do something that is far bigger than what I believed I was meant to do. And then them come off stage just going like, I'm proud of you. And don't necessarily feel like I need to hear that, but don't get me wrong, it's fucking amazing to just see them being like understanding of what the impact and why so I think with kids, they'll only understand it once they see it. Obviously, like at the moment, I'm not seeing a lot of them because of how busy the business is and so on. I'm now in a place where it's like, I need to make that happen for them. But in return, I'm going to show them also how to be the person and be the person that if they have struggles in the future, they can come to. And I would always have time for them to be able to talk to them and help them see why I am the way I am, so that then they can understand how they can take their journey. And I don't want them to be a certain thing. I just want them to do the best for themselves that they can, whatever that is. I couldn't care less. As long as they're happy, as long as they do what they want and they don't feel like they can't. If they feel like they can't, then that's where I would step in and be like, right, okay, like we have to talk, because we both know how it feels to not feel like that. We both know how it feels to not have the space. And I also want to make sure that they don't feel entitled when I achieve it, because obviously that will come at as a big price in terms of finances and stuff. I don't want them feeling like dad can just do this.
Yeah.
Like I want them to go like, no, you're not, like we'll use that money that you're not having it. You've got to build your thing. Don't rely on us. Otherwise you won't help the next generation of our family. And that's something that I never realised I could have the impact on. And that's what I've tried to instill in others, instead of just thinking like, oh, we might have a nice house and a nice car. It's like, no, you change the dynamic of your family tree. It goes from being something to something.
Yeah.
We'll finish up 2 or 3 bits of advice for someone who's struggling out there.
First one is don't give up. The worst thing you can do is give up, because you might think that the only way out is to stop, and that because you're struggling so much, it's just not worth it. But I promise you, it's worth it. Just keep going, because one day those struggles that you're facing right now will be a distant memory, and you'll be glad that you didn't stop. Second, you're scared. I get it. I was scared. But that feeling is the very feeling that is going to help you grow. And if you don't use it, you're missing out. So when you feel scared, and you will feel scared more than once, even when you do come out of that struggle, there'll be another struggle that you face, another challenge that you'll be even more scared for. Get used to that feeling. Because I feel like when you're scared of doing something, that's a sign, all the more reason for you to do it. You just got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're comfortable right now and you're not happy, you need to do something to make yourself feel uncomfortable. And the third, always believe that you're on the verge of something incredible. Don't ever underestimate the power of thinking bigger. Like, I remember I used to always like have this vision in my head of what I wanted to achieve and the person I wanted to be and all the things I wanted to do in life. But I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. And then I started to put them on my vision board and started to like look at them daily. And I've had to gradually take them off my vision board because I've achieved them. So I'm adding new ones on. So don't ever underestimate or be scared of thinking bigger, dreaming bigger, and thinking that even though it's unachievable right now, that you can't do it, because you absolutely can. There we go.
Where can they find you on social media?
Well, my Instagram name is still my maiden name, so it's a really awkward one to spell. Danni Chianta, DanniChianta. You won't find anyone else with that name. So, yeah, you can find me there. Follow me. Hope you like my content. And yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being open and honest.
Thanks for having me.
I genuinely hope any of you that listen to this have found that useful, beneficial. If you follow Danni or want to drop her a message, you can find her on obviously I've got her on my page. Drop her a message, let her know how you found the interview, how you found it benefited you. And I look forward to sharing with you more stories on the next one.